Oh, hello folks, this is Steve AB4L. Now, nothing in this episode is a promotion, nor is it a recommendation. So, one of my favorite tabs is /.org, News for Nerds. And one of the featured items today, Dutch government takes control of China-operated chip maker Nexperia. Dutch authorities have temporarily, never mind the mustard, Dutch authorities in rare move, Dutch government takes control of China-owned chip maker Nexperia. October 13th, today, 2025, published this afternoon. So this is up-to-date news. Summary. Dutch government cites concerns over technology transfer. DVD Philips. DVD player invented. The first DVD players were invented and released in Japan in November 1996 by Toshiba. The technology was developed from a common format for competing second-generation compact disc technologies by two groups of companies. One was led by Sony and Philips, and the other by Toshiba and Time Warner. Philips NV, simply branded Philips, is a Dutch multinational health technology and former consumer electronics company that was founded in Eindhoven in 1891. In 1997, its world headquarters was situated in Amsterdam. Through the 20th century, it grew into one of the world's largest electronics conglomerates, with global market dominance in products ranging from kitchen appliances and electric shavers to light bulbs, televisions, cassettes, and compact discs, both of which were invented by Philips. Now, why did I do that? For any of you that may think that Holland is what? It's nowhere for what we're going to talk about. Got it? I diverted to give you background, to understand the significance of what I'm showing you. Now, this does not involve Philips. In rare move, Dutch government takes control of China-owned chip maker Nexperia. Dutch government cites concerns over technology transfer. What does that mean? Stuff that they invented with their geniuses in Amsterdam and places like that? Yes, yes. Holland is smart in a lot of things, not just diamonds. And with the thing that's going on, China is cutting off not just the United States, but others from inside knowledge about critical future technology. Dutch say no U.S. involvement in decision. What's been going on between China and the United States? Xi, the president of China, and Trump, the president of the United States. Now, Nexperia is owned by a Chinese company called WingTech, chairman suspended from Nexperia boards. WingTech shares fall 10%. Company says will protect interests. October 13th, the Dutch government has taken control of Chinese-owned computer chip maker Nexperia, ratcheting up tensions with Beijing, so it isn't just Trump. As a global fight brews over technology, intellectual property, how to do it, especially around semiconductors. How small are the nanometers now on your circuits? The government said late on Sunday that it has intervened in the, I can't pronounce it correctly, headquartered Nexperia in Holland, not in Amsterdam, which manufactures chips for cars and consumer electronics. Chips for cars. It cited worries about the possible transfer of technology to Nexperia's Chinese parent company, Winget. So they're saying certain kinds of automotive semiconductor forward-looking technology invented in Holland may be stolen by mainland China. Do you think that's paranoia? What do you think? Is that paranoia? The Hague, where the central government is, invoked never-before-used powers under a Dutch law known as Availability of Goods Act. The decision led to a 10% fall in WinTech shares in Shanghai on Monday. The Dutch government will not take ownership of Nexperia, but it will now have the power to reverse or block management decisions it considers harmful. The company's regular production is continuing. Now, I haven't read this article, and they're just saying right here, U.S. President Donald Trump is ratcheting up pressure on Chinese tech firms as part of broader trade war. Now, why am I bothering with this? It's funny in my life how I have coincidences. Yesterday, I sat through a half-hour video on one of the channels I subscribe to, explaining single pair Ethernet. My computers are interconnected with hubs and then to the router and then to the WAN modem and then to the rest of the internet and web based on TCP/IP. The IP is Internet Protocol. The TCP is, and what does it use? Ethernet. Who invented Ethernet? Robert Metcalfe. Robert Bob Metcalfe is an American engineer and entrepreneur who contributed to the development of the Internet in the 1970s. He co-invented Ethernet. Not just figured out the protocol, but actually did it. He co-founded 3Com and formulated Metcalfe's law, which describes the effect of a telecommunications network. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Doctorate in computer science at MIT, Harvard refused permission to connect the university to the then new ARPANET. Then when he went to Park, that's kind of Apple in the past, he met Dave Boggs, and together they invented Ethernet, initially as a standard for connecting computers by wire over short distances, twisted pairs of wires. He later recalled that Ethernet was born on May 22nd, 1973, the day he circulated a memo titled Alto Ethernet, which contained a rough schematic of how it would work. It was the first time Ethernet appeared as a word, as does the idea using coax as ether. Da-da-da-da-da-da. In the 1990s, when he retired but then went to work for an electronics news journal, I corresponded with him a few times by email. I was working at an internationally known, internationally operating IT company, and I was a troubleshooter for some of the computers they were designing and building that weren't working right over Ethernet. When I worked at North Carolina State University in the late 1980s, early 1990s, I helped wire up the first Ethernet connections in one of the buildings to be used by the professors, as opposed to the connections that were into each of the department chairman offices for financial reporting purposes, so that the professors could start to get out onto ARPANET and then later the web, so they could catch up. And NC State became one of the leaders of even drawing in Ethernet connection to all the student dormitories. Oh, excuse me, my mind wanders. So yesterday, on a channel I subscribe to, and I'm not going to find the video, I'm not going to log in. I watched like a 30-minute video explaining single pair. See, the Ethernet I know is 4 wires, two twisted pairs. The transmitter here is wired to the receiver here. The transmitter here is wired to the receiver there. Twisted pairs, 2 of them. The first Ethernet protocols, because the electronics was so primitive, that if I'm transmitting data packets by Ethernet from this terminal or computer to this terminal or computer or whatever, remember there are 2 connections. If I'm transmitting He can't transmit, he can only listen and wait for me to finish. But then as the chips became more sophisticated and faster, another version of Ethernet then permitted two-way communication simultaneously, which is what it all depends on now. I'm not an expert at Ethernet, but my connection to the Ethernet goes back to the late 1980s. So here I am on YouTube homepage, single pair Ethernet explained. That's the search. Was the one I was looking at just a single bird flying by, or is this a popular topic? As soon as I did this search, I've got an advertisement right here. Get the most reliable optical transceivers from Fluxlight. Well, you would have to have a chip like that to do any kind of Ethernet. Single pair Ethernet, 2 years ago. Introduction to single pair Ethernet, what you need to know. What is single pair Ethernet? Everything you need to know about single pair Ethernet, 11 months ago. Now here's another advertisement. Industrial single pair Ethernet inductors, Mauser. That's a well-known electronic supply company. Single pair Ethernet, simply explained, 4 years ago. And here's that guy again. Single pair Ethernet versus traditional Ethernet, which is right for you. Oh, you mean they don't? You mean single pair might have a special niche purpose? And once again, I've got another ad. The next time you put in a search on YouTube Home, see how many ads get injected. None. Here's a video, Single Pair Ethernet Explained. What is single pair Ethernet cable? How is it different than the one that's connecting my computers now? This is a YouTube video by Mauser Electronics, which is a giant electronics middleman supplier, wholesaler. What is single pair Ethernet? Explained by Phoenix Contact, Mauser Electronics, 3 years ago. 5 years ago. See the equipment right there? So it's not a new topic. The video I watched was down to a very narrow topic. Automotive wiring is being revolutionized by single pair Ethernet. Instead of there being 100 different proprietary ways, you're building a car, you need to feel about the brakes, the headlights, the blinker, the temperature sensors on the engines, the fuel injection. Everybody has their own little protocol, their own sensors. They're all specialized. And when you're building a car, you're dealing with 100 different companies. And the point of the video was that can all be simplified by having them all talk over single pair Ethernet instead of everybody having their own proprietary protocols for reporting the sensors or controllers state back to the car's computer. And just by adding one word, automotive, I've got a line of ads here. Not one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You think it's a hot topic area? Here's that guy again. 1 year ago, benefits of single-pair Ethernet in the automotive industry. Want to learn industrial automation? You go to his website. Ethernet's role in industrial automation, but not two-pair into Ethernet like I have here and you have in your home for your computers, but single pair, specialized. And do you see the diagram on the car? Do you see the diagram on the car where they're single-pair Ethernet and the rise of zonal architecture, cars that think like networks, 2 days ago. That's a video, 2 days ago. That's not the one I watched. Now why am I belaboring that? What's that got to do with the next video? The search is single-pair Ethernet, Nexperia, the name of that company that the Dutch government has temporarily seized, at least the operations in the Netherlands. But it's a company owned by a bigger company in China. But I think it assumes that it was originally a Dutch company bought by somebody in China. You know how in the United States we're kicking Chinese connection and ownership out? I'm not talking politics. I'm talking about news. Nexperia, Open Alliance Ethernet ESD protection. Products, family. All products. Discover Nexperia's extensive portfolio of diodes, bipolar transistors, ESD protection devices, MOSFETs, gallium nitride, FET. They make the components that would go into it. They make the specialized components adapted for use in single-pair Ethernet. Nexperia, Automotive ESD Ethernet. Notice they're not saying single pair. Watch. Nexperia is the first in offering. Nexperia is the first in offering, first company worldwide in offering a fully compliant 10-base-T1S and 100/1000, that's the bits per second speed, the 1000 is gigabit, 100/1000 base-T1 Open Alliance Ethernet ESD protection with improved diode capacitance. Nexperia, February 11th, 2025. It's October 13, 2025. Nexperia today released the industry's first ESP protection diodes that comply with Open Alliance requirements for use in 10-base-T1S. What's 10-base-T1S? I got it wrong. Wait a minute. I spelled it wrong, and the search engine knew what it was. Ten base-T1S is short reach 10 megabit per second Ethernet standard defined by IEEE 802.3 CG. Now 802 was the original Ethernet specifications. So this is an addendum that uses a single twisted pair cable and supports a multi-drop bus topography, just like in the room with two twisted pairs, regular Ethernet, allowing multiple devices to connect to a single line, devices in the car, in the trunk, under your seat, in the lights, in the hood, in the engine, in the brakes. It can be one wire coming from the front, and they're all connected to it, which is not the way it is now. Now there's big wiring harnesses. How do I know that? Because I know somebody that owns an auto repair refurbishing shop, and I have to listen to him complain about it. He says it's not like the old days. You should see what those wiring harnesses look like. And they've got, it's 10 times the number of wires going to more things. That's what they're doing back in the computer under the dash. They're controlling everything. I'm just repeating him. So to fix something that got damaged on the front of your car, you might have to buy a new wiring harness that in the old days might have cost you $100, but now the harness itself is $1,000. And I'm not making that up. So this could really be cheap in comparison, and easier to manufacture, and easier to assemble, and easier to design the new car around. This technology is primarily used in automotive and industrial sectors to reduce wiring complexity, that's what I just went about, and weight in applications like zonal architectures. What's a zonal architecture? Well, I need communication with the brakes, I need communication with the engine, I need communication with the lights, I need communication with the dash. Zonal. Each zone is different. While improving performance over legacy systems, key features include a maximum bus length of 25 meters. So you don't have to generate a very strong signal at a very high voltage. It's not meant to be like mine. I have a wire that runs from this room to 2 rooms away to my router. I have an Ethernet cable that I've used that's 100 feet long. When we first started with the early Ethernet routers and computers, you had to have at least a 10-foot length coiled up between the connection on the back of your computer and the hub. Why? Because the electronics wasn't fast enough, and there had to be a time lag enough so that the signals wouldn't get garbled on the wire. Now you can use a 6-inch cable at a gigabit speed, because the electronics is so much faster by over 1,000x. Can you tell I've been in this a long time? So what they have here, if you looked at what the original said, there's a standard for 10 megabits. Nobody uses that anymore, but that would be very inexpensive. And you saw there was another standard for 100/1000. That's what I have. Gigabit, 1,000. So depending on the technology speed requirement, you can buy cheaper, easier to make electronics, or you can go with cutting edge. Not any different than what I said to you before about you had to have at least a 10-foot cable between your computer and the hub connection, otherwise it would garble the signals, but that's not the way it is today. Now we need to bring it closer to home. The Google search is Nexperia, the Dutch company. RTP Research Triangle Park. Everybody knows RTP means Research Triangle Park, NC. AI overview. Nexperia does not have a manufacturing facility in RTP, Research Triangle Park, but it does have a sales and corporate office located in the broader Research Triangle region at 630 Davis Drive. I've been down Davis Drive I don't know how many times when I lived in Raleigh. Suite 200, Morrisville, North Carolina. This address is often listed as Durham. I just want to say it's actually in Morrisville. Where's Lenovo's headquarters in the United States? Morrisville. When the IBM PC company was sold to Lenovo, they established their North American headquarters, Lenovo did, just off campus from IBM, a couple of miles away, just over the line outside of RTP in Morrisville, North Carolina. You see, because Research Triangle region encompasses parts of Durham, Wake, and Orange counties. This location serves as an office for Nexperia, which is a global manufacturer of essential semiconductors. Do they own the whole building? No. It says Suite 200. They're on the second floor. So a news item that's about the Dutch government seizing the operational functionality and business transactions of Nexperia, which was, so I haven't looked this up. Who founded? I haven't checked this out. Nexperia wasn't founded as a single entity, but emerged as a standalone company in 2017 from the Standard Products division of NXP Semiconductors. NXP Semiconductors itself, I didn't research this ahead of time. NXP Semiconductors itself has roots in the Philips company, which began producing semiconductors in the 1950s. The company's history is a legacy of Philips Semiconductor, Philips Holland Semiconductor Operations, which was spun off as NXP in 2006 before part of it was separated in 2017 to become the independent company Nexperia. I've got a book up there that I got 20 years ago, published by Philips, explaining the digital mathematics behind things like DVDs and the equipment. Philips. I thought I was off the track when I went and talked about, I want to give you an example of a Dutch company that you all know about, right? This was spun off from Philips. Now, why am I going through this? You read these headlines, you see there needs to be some conference between President Trump and Xi. There's this ongoing struggle between China and, quote, the United States? The answer is it's between China and the rest of the world outside of China's grip. This is one aspect of it. Will it eventually be of interest to somebody like my friend who owns the auto body repair business? It even impacts him. He complains about now when somebody hits the front of their car, you have no idea how big that wiring harness is in the latest models, and how much trouble it is, and how expensive it is to replace it. You can't repair it. They make it so you can't repair it. You have to buy a new one. I'm just repeating what he told me. So 10 years ago, that kind of collision might have been $1,000, and now it's literally $10,000. And not because of inflation, but of the way they're building things based on, among other things, old-time automotive technology. And now I've explained to you why single-pair Ethernet is going to revolutionize part of the cost problem all the way around. You see, when I read a news item like this, there's other things, lights that go off in my brain. And I've just it even can touch somebody that I know that's a good friend and his business concerns. That's the down the road repercussions, and for the Dutch government to take this step is, I will call it, daring. Steve A. Foyle, just an idiot running his mouth. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Saying see you in 73.